It started with a single phone call. I was working late at the office, the fluorescent lights buzzing overhead, drowning in a sea of invoices and client reports. My desk phone rang, the sudden noise slicing through the quiet. Glancing at the clock, it was well past business hours. I hesitated before picking up. Hello? There was a pause, then a distorted voice on the other end. Mr. Hughes, this is Samantha from the compliance department. There's a significant irregularity in one of your accounts. Can you confirm a few details for us? I frowned. Samantha? Compliance? It wasn't unusual for departments to cross-check records, but something about the call felt off. Still, I gave her the benefit of the doubt. Sure, what's the issue? Her voice remained flat, almost robotic. A transfer of $1.2 million was flagged in your system. It originated from an unverified client account. We suspect a breach. Were you aware of this transaction? My stomach dropped. That kind of money could ruin us. No, I said quickly. That's impossible. I handle all major transactions personally. Samantha's tone grew sharper. You need to act quickly. Provide your credentials so we can secure the system before further damage is done. Something clicked in my mind. Wait, I said slowly. What's your employee ID? The line went dead. I spent the rest of the night in a fog of paranoia. The next morning, I reported the call to my supervisor, Karen. She dismissed it as a prank or phishing attempt and assured me our systems were secure. But as the days passed, strange things began happening. Invoices I didn't recognize appeared in our records, marked as paid. Clients called to complain about overcharges or unapproved withdrawals. And then there were the emails. Every night, around 3 a.m., I'd receive messages from an unfamiliar address, shadow@control.com. Each email contained fragments of conversations I'd had at work, some from private meetings, others from casual hallway chats. They weren't just transcripts. They were twisted, warped to make it sound like I'd orchestrated a massive fraud scheme. One particularly chilling email read, "We know, Mr. Hughes. The lies are catching up. The missing $1.2 million? Everyone will think it's you. Better start saying goodbye." I forwarded the messages to Karen, but she dismissed them as spam. "You're overthinking this," she said. "It's just someone trying to scare you. Don't give them the satisfaction." But I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. A week later, the hammer fell. I was called into the boardroom, where a panel of grim-faced executives waited. Karen was there too, her usual confidence replaced by unease. The CFO, Mr. Wallace, slid a stack of papers across the table. "These documents suggest you've been funneling company funds into personal accounts. Over $1.2 million is unaccounted for. Can you explain this?" My heart raced as I skimmed the papers. Every signature, every approval, every transaction, it all pointed to me. But I hadn't done any of it. "This is a setup?" I exclaimed. "Someone's framing me?" Karen avoided my eyes. Wallace's expression didn't waver. "We've already reported this to the authorities, Mr. Hughes. You'll need to clear your name with them. By the time I left the building, my entire career was in ruins. My reputation was shattered, and my colleagues looked at me with a mix of pity and suspicion. I spent the next few weeks spiraling into despair. The police interrogations were brutal, and the evidence against me was airtight. Every attempt to trace the fraudulent transactions led to dead ends. Whoever was behind this knew exactly what they were doing. Then one night I received another email from shadow@control.com. "Do you want to know the truth, Mr. Hughes? Come to 17th and Willow at midnight. Alone." I knew it was a risk, but I had nothing left to lose. The address led to an abandoned office building on the outskirts of town. The windows were shattered, and the air was thick with mildew. I stepped inside, my flashlight slicing through the darkness. "Hello?" I called, my voice echoing. No response. I climbed the creaking stairs to the second floor, where a faint glow emanated from one of the rooms. Inside, a laptop sat on a dusty desk, its screen displaying a single line of text. "Play the video." My hands trembled as I clicked the file. The footage showed a boardroom, our boardroom. The camera was positioned in a corner, capturing Karen, Wallace, and 2 other executives huddled together. "This will work," Karen said, her voice cold. "Hughes is perfect. He's meticulous, but that makes him predictable. We'll funnel the money through his credentials, and when the auditors catch it, he'll take the fall." Wallace nodded. "We'll distribute the funds after the dust settles. By the time anyone realizes the money's missing, we'll be long gone." My blood boiled as the video ended. The laptop screen flickered, revealing a new message. "Do you see now? They're the real thieves. You can bring them down, if you're willing to play their game." Before I could respond, the laptop powered down. The next morning, armed with the video, I went to the police. But when I handed them the USB drive, the file was gone. Corrupted. Desperation drove me to confront Karen directly. I waited for her in the company parking lot, stepping into her path as she approached her car. "I know what you did," I said, my voice shaking with anger. "I saw the video." Her eyes narrowed. "You're delusional, Hughes. Stop embarrassing yourself." But there was fear in her eyes. Over the following weeks, the messages from shadow@control.com became more frequent. Each one offered new evidence, snippets of conversations and transaction records implicating Karen and the others. But every time I tried to share them, they vanished. It was as if the shadow wanted me to act on my own. One night, I received a final email. "They're meeting tonight to move the money. 10 p.m. the old warehouse on Pine. Don't miss it." I arrived early, hiding behind stacks of rusted barrels. Sure enough, Karen, Wallace, and the others showed up, their voices echoing through the cavernous space as they discussed their plans. I recorded everything. The footage was enough to reopen the investigation. Within days, Karen and her co-conspirators were arrested. The company cleared my name, but the damage was done. My career, my reputation, it was all a shadow of what it had been. I never learned the identity of the person behind shadow@control.com. But sometimes, late at night, I'd hear the faint hum of a laptop powering on, and I'd swear I could feel someone watching. Whoever, or whatever, they weren't done with me yet.